We all enjoy games. We enjoy games so much, but sometimes it's the games that we like that can hurt our feelings the most. Controversy controls the market, and once a player doesn't like what they see, they will tend to bring the game to its knees by killing it. A lot of what we see today are catered to such people, and sometimes it leaves the impression as such games may all seem the same. Most game developers will settle with this, which may seem fine at times, but to me, all of them have one thing in common. They are all too scared to take risks, and everyone knows the saying that with great risk comes great rewards, and this game has executed that perfectly. Now, before we get into the deep and nitty-gritty of Ready or Not, we need to know what the game is about. Ready or Not is a tactical first-person shooter in the perspective of a SWAT officer. With many scenarios, you and your team go in and apprehend suspects based on the description that comes from the briefing. You can go in alone with an NPC SWAT team or have 3 of your friends included and neutralize threats that come along the way. The game was developed by an Ireland-based studio called Void Interactive, who have done a pretty good job of dealing with the controversy surrounding the game. Ready or Not takes place in the fictional city of Los Sueños, located in the state of California. The game takes huge inspiration from SWAT 4, and people recognize it. They recognize it so much that people have labeled this game as a SWAT 4 successor. The thing that makes Ready or Not stand out is the realism. From cuffing suspects and civilians to the realistic firing mechanics, Void really took their time when polishing this game and fine-tuning it before the full release. I was one of the people who were lucky enough to play before that, and let me just tell you, it was questionable. Ready or Not offers a range of arsenal that you can select from, and different ways to handle missions. You can choose the non-lethal way with weapons that shoot pepper balls and beanbags, or the lethal way with actual weapons that can kill. Keep in mind, if you do decide to play the non-lethal way, it will take you some time to subdue suspects. Upon loading into the level, you are greeted with your squad. You are the captain of this team. Your team is split up into 3: Gold Team, Blue Team, and Red Team. These teams are known as elements. Gold Team is your entire squad as one, which means both teams at once. Blue and Red are split up, 2 and 2. You can order your teams on different methods of breaching doors. You can go in blind and clear, risking lives of innocent civilians, or you can tell your team to mirror under the doorway to check who is armed and who is not. You can also choose to check it for yourself too. Civilians sometimes pull out their phones to take pictures as evidence, and it tends to look similar to a suspect about to draw out a gun. So be careful when aiming at a civilian, because this game will test your trigger reaction. One last thing to point out before we get into some of the other things about the game is, unless you are playing multiplayer with friends, once you die, that is it. You have to start again. This game will punish you by clearing your save completely. Now, when it comes to the quality of the game and how in-depth the scenarios are, the game goes into extreme detail. Void Interactive made sure to go into hardcore depth, not only in the missions, but the gun sounds, the AI, the suspects, the briefing, and your fellow officers. Take a listen to this brief.
All right, everyone, need your attention. Operators just received a 911 call from an individual within an apartment complex in St. Uriel this morning, detailing a brewing hostage situation. It seems that Michael Williams has barricaded himself in his apartment along with his brother DeMarcus. He also shot and killed his mother, Cassandra Williams. The call was brief, but gave us information regarding his potential mental state.
Has anyone tried to regain contact with Michael?
The call bounced when attempted, and calls from negotiators outside have fallen on deaf ears. It sounds like Michael may be firing a weapon inside his room, and we've received multiple reports of gunfire from other individuals within the complex. The building has a single entry through the main atrium. There's also a second entry point through a fire escape nearby, which should allow quick access to the other levels without exposure to your teams within the atrium. The watch commander is on scene and has patrol holding perimeter positions. Thames is staging at the command post. Currently, they're awaiting our arrival to make entry, as the situation has been deemed dangerous, given no communication can be established.
Do we know of any other threats within this space?
Michael's apartment is number 14, and so far we've managed to confirm that rooms 16, 11, and 12 are all currently inhabited but closed off. Those residents have either been evacuated or are sheltering in place. However, we were unable to make contact with apartments 13 and 15, both of which are under the ownership of Michael Williams at this time. It is unknown if he is still barricaded with his family in 14 or has moved into one of the other rooms to ambush. We are not aware of any other threats. It seems to just be one guy. All right, Let's roll.
When it comes to the missions in the game, they are all separated into 6 categories: meth distribution, illegal arms trade, militant extremism, terrorism, murder and assault, and the most disturbing one of them all, CPD. Void Interactive made sure to put as much detail into the maps to fill these categories. 2 notable missions that I would point out is the Spider and Valley of the Dolls. The further I went into these areas, the more disturbed I got. And you can tell, the more missions you do, the more intense each situation feels. When playing single player, you are in charge of keeping your fellow officers sane. Each officer's stress and anxiety levels can raise and cause them to be more combating, shooting anyone on sight and risking the lives of innocent civilians. It is your job to keep them mentally stable by sending them to therapy and swapping out their shifts. Void put their time and effort not only perfecting the mechanics of the game but the AI. Everything about this game is perfectly well made. However, a lot of people may disagree with me. The community are really split on how they feel about Ready or Not. Some may say the content in the game is way too sensitive and shouldn't be in the game. Some may say the gunplay isn't nearly as good as some games such as Ground Branch and Operator. But in reality, putting all of it together, this game is probably one of, if not the most well-made, well-designed, and the most close to real-life game that we'll have. I highly recommend you play this game for yourself, alone or with friends. Play it as serious as you wish, like an actual SWAT operation, or just have fun and laugh with some friends. I don't usually recommend games on this channel that I review, but this one is a most definite. You can pick it up on Steam. Unfortunately, the game isn't out on console and it looks like it probably won't come out to console anytime soon. As of recent, Ready or Not is in full release and has pushed out 2 DLCs titled Home Invasion and Deep Waters, giving you access to more missions and weaponry. So I'll rate this game a 9.3. Amazing graphics, hyper realistic, in-depth scenarios, and realistic gunplay.